Welcome to the bin. Oh, I'm going to be on mic, you're not.
Okay, so let's go close
You're just a prop.
This week we're going to take care of a tubeless mountain bike tire that started rattling over the winter. We'll also show you 3 new bike hacks to help with maintenance. And we'll wrap up the show with our first unofficial sponsor highlight, 10 Barrel Brewing.
Welcome to the bin, where we explore Bend and Central Oregon. This week we're solving a bike problem. We like to go out and mountain bike around Bend and Central Oregon. You've seen in episode 2, North Fork Trail. We'll do many more of those. We've done some winter riding. We went out to Climb Butte. We went out to Gold Basin. But I've got a problem from the winter that I absolutely have to solve. I've got stands in the wheel that's dried up over the winter time. If you store the bikes for a very long period of time and let the stands dry up in there, it creates little pellets, and then that turns into what sounds like pebbles in your wheel. So I went out for 3 or 4 rides and it sounds like rocks. It's horrible. No one wants to ride with you. It's a disaster for your partners, it's a disaster for you, and I kid you not, it gets in your head. You can't even focus.
Just so you feel my pain, let's hear that again.
Like a rock rolling around. And if you get multiple pebbles...
Sounds like a lot of rock rolling around.
Yes. So it looks like a little white pellet, and they're hard until you just crush them, and then they turn into a powder. The problem is there's nothing that's forceful enough to make it crush in the wheel itself. So you have to fish these things out. It's a miserable process. It took me 2 hours, but there's no YouTube videos on this, and I wanted to show you how to do it.
All right, James, so fish it out.
There's actually a lot more to it than this genius move, but first, a word from our unofficial sponsor.
So today's sponsor, although they don't quite know it yet, is 10 Barrel. And we've got a little specialty. They don't normally make Snake Run. It's their new double IPA. Here's my take on 10 Barrel Brewing just in general. Great brewery. It was part of the early scene in Bend. You had Deschutes Brewery, you had 10 Barrel, and you had Boneyard. And then 10 Barrel was acquired by Anheuser-Busch. They got mass distribution, so you may see it out there if you're not from the Pacific Northwest. And they make great beers. Joe IPA, the Apocalypse IPA is one of my favorites locally here. But then they come out with the specialty beers. This is Snake Run, it's a double IPA, and I've never liked one of their specialty beers. What's your take on Snake Run?
Well, you know, first of all, I like all beer. So so I'm not really kind of sore because I drink a lot of beer and I like it all. But yeah, this is a very tasty beer. It's not too hoppy. Even though it's a double, it's quite easy drinking.
Well, so there you go. So you got a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So 10 Barrel, here's your plug from Bend, Oregon.
Oh, yep, right there.
And thanks for the unofficial sponsorship.
Back to figuring out this rattle tire thing. Let's chat about how a tubeless tire works.
To ride a tubeless tire, there is no inner tube. And essentially what you're doing is sealing off the tire with a tape. And then you're going to put the tire on, so you've got an enclosed volume, and then you'll put what's called a stands fluid.
Basically latex that helps seal the tire without a tube.
So you have a latex that seals the tire without a tube. A guy named Stan made this, so we all call it stands. Essentially, it looks like a milky substance.
Almost like Elmer's glue.
Almost like Elmer's glue. Except when the tire pops or has a hole in it, the fluid will seep out and then it will actually harden like rubber. And that's what allows you to ride a tubeless tire. So on my rim, I've got holes in the inner part of the rim. So this is an echo chamber. And I've got this piece of stand stuck in. And actually when I started this process, there were multiple balls of stands that were stuck in this, and it was just a rattle fest when you're riding constantly. And the people I'm riding with are saying, please, can you just ride 10 feet back? I don't want to be a part of this. It's really annoying. So what I started to do was peel back the tape to try to poke one of these holes and then filter out the stands. What I realized is what I could do then is take the valve instead. That way I wouldn't have to actually poke the tube. So the way to take the valve out, first of all, is you have to take out the valve stem. The way to do that is to get a valve stem remover tool. These are a couple of bucks at your local bike store and pretty easy to operate. You just want to kind of thread that on there and then remove the valve stem. There is a little nut that you want to back off the valve stem, and that's going to allow you to take out the valve stem holder. Now you've got a hole that you're going to try to get this dried up stands that looks like a little pellet out. This is the hard part. It can take a while sometimes. So the first thing I started doing was just trying to catch it into my hand. That way I would know when it popped out. And that didn't work because after doing this for a very long period of time, and at last count it was 2 hours.
You got tired?
It makes you very tired. So I came up with a new technique, which is you just walk around until you can get this thing out. So join you in a minute. This actually really will take a while. It's out! Holy cow!
That didn't take that long.
My new technique worked. All right, so just be double sure. Now, the weird thing is because this tape is in such good shape, I don't know how the dried up stands got inside unless it seeped slowly through the valve stem.
Yeah.
So it must have been a valve stem leak, which allowed the stands over time to leak down in there in the winter because I wasn't riding. And what keeps this stands in a fluid state is the tire constantly turning. As soon as it kind of dries a little bit, then it's going to roll around in your tire and kind of ball up into a dried sticky when air can get to it. So as I put new stands in here, I'll make sure that the valve is sealed correctly, and then we won't have that problem again. So no rattling, let's get it going.
To put things back together, reinsert the stem, tighten the nut, be careful if you have carbon rims, reinsert the valve core, and tighten with the tool. For a quick hack, use pliers instead, but be careful not to bend the threads. Fit the tire on the rim, which could take a little while.
And then the trick is we've got to put the stands in. So here we go. Here's the trick. So I've got a, this is what you want to buy. Stands, no tubes fluid is what it's called. It is, comes in a big bottle. You're also going to want to buy one of these for the trail. So if you end up with a flat tire and you need some sealant, you're going to need to dump in a couple of ounces to make sure that you can seal the tire out there. And the trick here is keep this bottle. And it's going to make a little bit of a mess, but if you're slow about it and careful. So we don't have an air compressor, so we're actually going to try to set the bead on this tire without an air compressor. And Seth from Burn Peak says it's doable, so we're gonna give it a try.
Have you ever had success doing this before, James?
No.
All right.
Have you?
No. Oh, it looks good. I've actually never even got that far.
Did you hear it pop? That's success.
This video is gonna go viral.
And then the last trick, what you normally wanna do when you put stands in a tire, is immediately go out for a ride. You can do it the next day, but what you can do to kind of get it spread around is just spin the tire and let it bounce. Get that stands, really what you're trying to do is get it coated around the tire, make sure it's not going to ball up on you again.
So thanks for exploring bike tires with us. If you like what we're doing on this channel, consider subscribing. We'll continue to do shows on the quirky character and local secrets of Bend and Central Oregon. Next up on the Bend, drones over Bend. I give Bark 5 shots to complete in under 12 hours, and I think he had to work that day. We'll see how he does.